Yeah, let me ask you about that. It seems to me that over the years, certainly with a lot of the footage we've been watching during research, that Radio 1 had some damn good friends in Status Quo, and then suddenly they seemed to turn against you. What was all that about?
We can't ever get to the bottom of it. We know that there was a few producers in Radio 1 that weren't keen on the band. I remember one called, I think it was Trevor Dan, I think his name was. And there was some sort of remit that went around that said that in future, don't play any Quo tracks on Radio 1 anymore, and don't do this, don't do anything to do with... And we couldn't understand, because a couple of months before, they'd asked us to do this thing called Party in the Park, which was a big celebration of Radio 1, and we were topping the bill. And we couldn't understand why they asked us to do that, and then a month or so later, we were on this hit list, and then we're not being played. So we made a point of going to the press and making it public, which is exactly what we did.
Now, there's a lot of mad old publicity stunts in rock and roll, and a lot of mad old events in rock and roll. But what goes through your head when you get the phone call that says, why don't we do 4 gigs in a day?
Well, it was a great idea at the time, and thinking about it, you know, you can see we had an album out called Rock Till You Drop, and put the two together. What could we do? Rock Till You Drop, 4 gigs in a day. At the end, they're going to drop. Great idea. Logistically, it was a nightmare. You can imagine having 4 sets of equipment set up. When we rehearsed for Rock Till You Drop, we was in this huge soundstage, and I had 4 kits set up, identical kits from Premier Drums, and they had identical Marshall stuff set up, and they all went to different parts of the country with 4 sets of crew as well. It was a nightmare, you can imagine. And getting to the gigs, you know, by helicopter and private jet and all that. But it was a success, and at the end of it, you know, we raised a lot of money for kids' charities, so you can't knock that, can you, really?
Both right. Tell us about the pub tour. I know that certain members of the band thought it was a good idea. I've even had members of the band say to me, it's a good gimmick, but after 3 you start to realise that Quo doesn't work in pubs. What's your take on?
I thought it would have been better if we would have done maybe just 1 pub, to be honest. To do 6 wasn't a good idea as far as I was concerned. It was a bit cheesy. I know we got some publicity out of it, but I think they could have held a competition. 1 pub could have got the gig, did a gig at the pub, and could have got all the publicity in one go. I don't think there was any need to do 6 different pubs, and it didn't work in some pubs. It was just a bit too small, you know. Great for the punters. You know, if I was a Quo punter going to a gig and seeing the band that I love and they're there, fantastic. What a great experience. But not for the band. It wasn't great, to be honest. It was 1 gig would have been perfect, I think.
Now, I know another bone of contention, or certainly from what I'm getting told, is the covers. They said, you know, that original rock and roll band, in hindsight, what the hell were we doing a covers thing? What's your take on the covers?
When we were first approached to do a covers album, we thought it could be a good idea to do maybe 1 album and do all the songs that we were brought up on, that we love doing. But when we did that, and then they said, right, we'll do, because it was a big success, and then do another one, and then another one, and then and it just went on, and we're thinking, this is not right. Not for a band of this big to be doing covers albums. Initially, the first one would have been, it's the same as the pub tour. One pub, yeah, 1 album would have been great. Any more than that, it becomes really, really cheesy. I think so anyway.
I guess there is a plus side to it in that on one of the albums you guys got to work with the whole of the Beach Boys and with Brian May, so...
The Beach Boys thing was a bit strange because, as you know, we recorded the song in one studio, sent the tapes to America, they put on the vocals, it came back and it was mixed, and it sounded great. And we thought, this is going to be good. When they came over, we didn't realise that the band themselves, the guys in the band, ate each other's guts. And they didn't get on very well. And so, you know, there was always this atmosphere between them, you know, that wasn't good. But it was fantastic. I mean, and then when we went to America, we met Brian Wilson, we went to his house, but of course, he was on a different planet. You know, it was just really sad. I was really disappointed after I'd met him. And I wished I'd never met him because I had this vision of this genius. And of course, when we met him, he'd just come out of all the rehab and everything. Now he's a lot better than what he was, thank God. Yeah.
I mean, there's lots of things with Quo where you can think, you know, they've achieved this, they've achieved that. There's 108 Top of the Pops appearances. Now that's a record that's never going to get broken now because there is no top of the Pops. How proud are you of your time with Quo?
Oh, I'm so proud that I was with a band like that. And even now, I mean, when I do the workshops in the schools and kids come up to me, you know, kids of like 14, 15, and they are in awe at the fact that I played with Status Quo. And I'm trying to inspire kids now because I do the workshops in schools and I go around doing all these different workshops, and I'm trying to inspire them to get to the level that I got to, and trying to show them that playing music is a fantastic thing. I consider myself extremely lucky to have played with a band like Quo for all those years, and now I'm trying to pass it on to the next generation, if you like.
That was kind of going to be part of my next question, in so much as that it really is a Quo gig, both in your time and still to this day, is 8 years old to 80 years old and all the flow in between it, isn't it?
There's no age element with Quo. It doesn't matter how young you are, how old you are, it transcends all the age barriers as far as I'm concerned. And as I said, when I go to the schools, teachers come up to me, kids come up to me that listen to Quo. There's no snobbery at all. You know what you're going to get with the band, and people just go out there and enjoy it. And that's what music's about, isn't it? To enjoy it. Doesn't matter, you know, some musicians I think, oh, Status Quo, 3 chords, bollocks. You try going on stage for 2 hours and playing that. I don't know many guys, and I know some fantastic musicians who get up on stage with a band like Quo and do that gig. It is that difficult.